Hi, I'm Alex G, and you're listening to Capsule on liveinlimbo.com.
Live from TO to the world.
This is Capsule on Live in Limbo.
You're listening to Capsule on liveinlimbo.com. My name is Sean Chen.
And I am Andreas Babiolakis. This is an adventure into music, film, and pop culture.
I'm feeling pretty good today, Andreas. How are you? You've been away for a few weeks, but you're back. How's life?
Life has changed quite a bit, as we're going to find out in this episode, between, the new happening, the old ending, what's current. We're going to dive right into it. But yes, life has changed where, even in the past couple of months, if you were sheltered away and you came out and you heard some of the recent news we're going to be saying, you'd be like, what? No way. So.
Yeah. So this week we're going to be talking about Earth Day, an article about summer music festivals and statistics and all that fun buzz and clout factor stuff. We're going to be talking about the legacy of Kobe Bryant, supposedly the new Radiohead album, an interview with Alex G, an exclusive interview, and then we're going to be talking about 50% of vinyl buyers don't actually listen to their LPs, as a survey finds.
I was making a joke.
Yeah, I know. So let's kick things off. So do you like the environment, Andreas?
I would have to, because, it's a supplier of my oxygen, first off. No, but in a serious answer, yes, of course. I mean, the Earth is our planet. We have all of these different ecosystems. Humanity's been very fortunate with its technological advances, but, there are millions and, in fact, billions of other life forms on Earth that are coming or going each day. There's so many intricacies with how the world works.
Mm-hmm.
Nature is fascinating.
We should not disrupt Mother Nature.
No, exactly. And it's unfortunate that we've gone to such a point that, things aren't looking too great. But I try to be optimistic with a pessimistic view from George Carlin that the world won't go away.
Yeah.
Humans will, but the world won't go away. So that's the way I'm going to look at it. But yes, Earth Day, how about it?
No, I think it's really a very important topic. I don't think we've ever talked about it on the show before, but I think because this week is leading up to, now they're calling it Earth Week, which actually should be like always, we should always be thinking about it. But Friday, April 22nd, next Friday, is Earth Day, and they're trying to extend this out into like Earth Week, hopefully Earth Month, and then like every day of the year. That should be good. But all these companies and brands and influencers that I follow, they're all trying to do their best and utmost to promote taking better care, being more conscious, being more aware, being educated about the Earth that we live on, because there's only one Earth, and I don't see us going to Mars anytime soon. And that really doesn't look like a nice place to live.
Not for us, anyways. It's
you saw The Martian, so yeah.
No. I did see The Martian, but even if that were the case, most of us aren't really Matt Damon's character. We're not all botanists. But the point is, we're in a place where we can only do so much because a lot of the cause of the problem is stubborn to change. Like
manufacturing and stuff like that.
Yes, exactly. Like all the rich companies who don't really care because they care about nobody but themselves.
Their profit margins.
Yeah, and how they're going to die with empty pockets. It's how it is, because, once life's over, that's it. And everybody else has to suffer.
It's really sad.
Animals included. Animals, bacteria, fungi, vegetation, all of the different life forms. But, whatever the everyday person can do to try and help, then absolutely. That's why I'm a big fan of, and I know not everybody will be, I'm a big fan of following a lot of celebrity pages like, Leonardo DiCaprio, Mark Ruffalo, because they're extremely vocal, not just like through their work or politically, but about like the environment as well. And I feel like, a lot of people will see this and say, oh, who cares, your celebrity, stick to your acting or whatever, which is dumb because everybody's entitled to free speech, including the person who just commented that stupid comment. But the point is, I feel like these issues are finally being addressed in an even bigger spectrum because of these celebrities who are very, very privy to this kind of awareness. So it's great. I think that's one of the biggest benefits of Twitter that there's been since it's been created. So hopefully, with that in mind, maybe that's why it's been extended to a week, because more people are finally taking this kind of thing seriously. I hope.
I think the hashtag is Earth Week or Earth Day, one of those. So use those to find influential people. But I think the issue is that there's so many topics about it. So there's things like climate change, renewable energy, conserving the trees, the forests, the rainforests, water consumption, especially in places like LA where there's like not enough fresh water, keeping the wildlife safe, not letting species go extinct on our watch, and educating the younglings to be more environmentally conscious. What are your thoughts on this? There's so many things, but I was talking to someone and they said even if you could focus on maybe like 3 things, like take 3 things to heart, then that would be better. So like for me, I'm like a really big pro renewable energy person, like solar, hydro, and stuff like that. Are there any in particular for you that really hit home?
Yeah, well, maybe not hit home per se, but I've got ideas about all of them, especially like the whole endangered species or animals going extinct kind of notion. Like, look, animals have come and gone since the dawn of time, but if we can prevent it from being a cause of our own actions, like, the extinction of rhinos because people are selfishly hunting them for their ivory,
yeah,
whatever,
like poaching,
yeah, because I think that's awful. Because
and sharks.
The shark finning. I think the shark finning is one of the worst because there's a huge mass killing of these animals for something that a lot of people who taste the dish, the shark fin soup, they taste the dish and they can admit that it's just a texture. It's nothing to do with the taste.
Yeah, there's no taste. Have you had it?
No, I haven't. But I know Gordon Ramsay did a documentary on it, and he almost got killed doing it. Actually,
I did not see that. Wow, no, was that recent?
It was a couple of years ago. He actually snuck his way on top of a building where there was like a bunch of fins airing out, I think, and he was on his way down because he heard the I guess the criminals who had them up there. He heard them coming, so he had to leave. And from what I could tell, and like he had some witnesses, like his crew with him, they basically like got them, doused them in gasoline, and had them at gunpoint and said, "You can't release this footage." And Gordon Ramsay, I guess in Gordon Ramsay typical fashion, told them to piss off, and he released it anyways.
Wow.
So yeah, it's serious, but it's so sad that somebody could have died trying to bring this awareness out on something that's killing so many animals. I think it's insanely selfish, and that's not just shark finning. It's poaching. It's hunting for sport. It's so many things that are selfish. Why do you need to hunt for sport? There is no need. Why do you need to hunt for ivory? We could get by with so many other things.
So the rich can get richer. It's terrible.
Yeah, it's awful. It's absolutely awful. So that's something that I really take to heart, especially being a native of Africa. I have a lot of cousins and relatives who are very vocal about this kind of thing. Like they're constantly posting stuff on Facebook about these different organizations to save all these different various animals. So I'm aware of this all the time, and it's sad, because again, animals come and go. It's the circle of life, but not to our own hand for selfish, stupid reasons. If it's eating, that's one thing, but and even then, I don't think like the animals should be tortured the way they should be, or like they are, just for us to eat. But eating is one thing. Poaching for stupid reasons, and
extinct animals too, like on the endangered species. That's like the worst.
Yeah, they wipe them out, and it's sad because what's the point for you to sell something quickly and make like enough money to fuel your car? Like, who cares? It's stupid and it's irrelevant.
Yeah. Hopefully, this year's Earth Day can try change some minds, and I think it's all about the younglings. We got to make them more aware, educate them.
Yeah, it's what I've learned, especially with the recent election, I think, like, because for Canada it was the same thing. For America, it's the most youthful election in years, I think. And you're really seeing where the views are divided between, like, those who are like ready for change or those who want to change back. It's quite prevalent. So with that audience, yeah, let's hit some bases.
I really hope Bernie Sanders wins.
Oh, me too. If we're allowed to talk about that, yes, me too. Feel the burn.
We can probably save that for a whole nother episode, but yeah, let's not dive too far.
I hope the episode's not why did Donald Trump win and not Bernie Sanders. So
we're going to lose like all of our followers.
This is Capsule.
So, music festival season is upon us, and Coachella just happened this past weekend. It's the unofficial start of the summer music festival season here in North America. And so Deadspin, music blog, they had Rob Mitchum. He's a music writer and a science writer, and he partnered with Hunter Owens, who is a data scientist in Chicago. And they did this really huge report, which kind of makes everyone feel really old because they're talking about statistics now for music festivals. But so they basically, in a nutshell, they compared on two things: buzz versus clout. I think they compared how many festivals? They compared, I think there are about 20 festivals, 15 to 20 festivals they accounted for. And Way Home, the one that we're closest to, is on it in Canada, and Osheaga is also represented there. So that's cool. Canada has two festivals in like the whole grand scheme of things in North America. That's great. But so they dig really deep and they compared the bands that are playing. So they got to see like who's playing the most festivals, who's playing the least festivals to give more exclusivity. Is that the right word? Uniqueness. And they compared those bands like status overall, which is clout, like I guess that would be like legacy acts or like biggest acts like Radiohead. And then they compared that to bands with the biggest hype, like the biggest buzz, like in the moment right now kind of bands like M83, for example. And you can read the whole thing by yourself as they break it down into many bar graphs. But the final two graphs are the most important. So then the average buzz rank per festival, Way Home actually comes in at number 2.
Which is huge.
That's great. Yeah, that's amazing. But for uniqueness, let's see, uniqueness of the actual festival itself, Way Home is second last.
Well, I mean, I'm not too surprised by either, because in terms of it's word of mouth, I think, and I might be shallow and ignorant about this, but I haven't seen a campaign nearly as good as the Way Home one, especially this year. I mean, the teaser videos it had, where it's like the 360-degree perspective, where you can look and find all the clues, and most of the clues were quite cryptic, and it was like this huge thing on Reddit and on like social media where it's like, okay, what does that mean? What does this mean? Is that Sia or is that Wolf Parade? I don't know. Like all of these big hints and teasers that went on for like a while. I mean, Way Home's got that down packed, but in that same breath, this is also the Canada music circuit where a lot of what happens down in the States will kind of make its way up here, but not nearly in full force. Like a good example is Riot Festival, which for the first time isn't actually coming to Canada this year, but usually you look at the Riot Festival in the States and you have like a much bigger lineup with huger names, and then
we would get their mid-card as our headliner.
Yeah, exactly, which isn't a bad thing because their mid-card's still really good, but that's what I'm saying.
You're missing that like that knockout punch band, like the kapow.
Well, I mean, I guess last year was Alexis on Fire, which for Canadians was huge because it was the first time they came back in years. So
yeah, but that was like Denver's like not even their middle card. Yeah, probably their middle card.
It was like the third line on the roster, but you got what I mean. Where a lot of what happens with Canadian festivals, especially with and I've tried to talk to our music editor Dakota about this, and he's shed some light on this. Like the Canadian dollar being weaker
That's true
than
too.
normal. We need a huge chunk of the list to be Canadian artists. A lot of that is affecting the lineup, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but that's why you're going to see like a lot of like familiar names on other festivals, especially in the States, especially around like, as you said, their second or third tier, affecting our lineup. So in terms of its uniqueness, I'm really not surprised because if you look at the Way Home lineup and you look at all the other festivals, yeah, they're all over in these other festivals, sprinkled, especially in like Osheaga. So not surprised, but I mean it's a damn good lineup, so I have no problem with that.
Absolutely. And I think what's interesting is that still overall, when they go by clout, the clout factor, not the buzz, but the clout score, Coachella just knocks it out of the park. They're still way ahead. But Way Home actually is like about just under the middle, under Governor's Ball. So that's not too bad.
Yeah, I would say that's quite reasonable, actually.
I'm still looking. Yeah, I think like I personally, when I saw the Way Home lineup, I was really, really excited with the mid card. Like that's a stacked lineup. I'm going to be really excited to go.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I think most of the festivals this year are actually, save for a few.
But I think that the issue, one thing that this article said is that there's so much overlap. I think there's quite a bit.
God, yeah, there's huge amounts.
So I think like festivals should like invest in getting that one main thing. Like Osheaga, they got the exclusive showing of Radiohead in all of Canada this summer. I think that's a big deal.
Yeah, and they also have Red Hot Chili Peppers where people can see Flea and, publicly crucify him for that national anthem he did for Kobe's last game. So there you go. They have that opportunity too.
Yeah, that too. So maybe that balances out. I don't know.
Who knows? Would that be a good segue into Kobe's last game?
Yes, that would be a very good one. So I know who Kobe Bryant is, and I think everyone knows who Kobe is. He's a great hockey player, right?
No, he's not. He's an NBA star.
That's right.
I hate to say it, but was now because now he's retired.
So I did hear and see a little bit of his final game, and he was on fire.
In the last game?
Yes. He did pretty well.
Here's the thing. Kobe Bryant has set a huge amount of records and is considered one of the all-time greats, especially in terms of like his point percentage and the amount of points that he scored. He's the third highest all time. He's just behind two other people. I think number one is Hakeem Abdul-Jabbar, but he was third, so he passed Jordan, which is quite huge. And he's also got like a huge amount of records where it's like he's scored so many games over 50 points. He scored so many games over 60 points. He's got the second highest amount of points in a game ever. He's beyond Will Chamberlain, who had 100. He had 81 against the Toronto Raptors, actually. He's set a number of records. Having said that, the last couple of years have been plagued by injuries and, his body just kind of shutting down. So the days of him shooting 50 or 60 or above were kind of numbered. And unfortunately, I don't know what the hell's going on with the Lakers, but it's a new team being dysfunctional. You have a former Laker as a coach who I unfortunately hate to say this, great player, not a great coach, Mr. Scott, but Kobe's last season, which he declared earlier on in the season, his last season with the Lakers is probably one of the worst Lakers seasons in existence, and it's unfortunate because it was Kobe's last. So it's bittersweet that he got to play all of these last arenas and had his big farewell in all of these different states, and I guess, Toronto as well, so you can include a province there. But, most of the games were crap. So the final game, it was huge because he had a lot of celebrities there. He had Kanye West, Jack Nicholson, who goes to like every Lakers game. So of course he would be there.
Kanye West smiled.
He did, and he actually made his own Life of Pablo version of a Kobe Bryant shirt. So it was actually kind of interesting. But yeah, it was huge buzz. And there was even bigger buzz because, Kobe was shooting like maybe like 10 points a game, 20 points a game, and his former player and former foe, Shaquille O'Neal, you know, because they were both Lakers before, and they had a rift that separated them, and Shaquille O'Neal left, and apparently they've kind of like, you know, settled their differences as of late. And Shaquille O'Neal had a bet. He's like, you know what? Why don't you shoot 50 in your last game? Go out with a bang. And I hate to say this as a huge Kobe Bryant fan, I don't think many of us expected him to shoot 50. And I don't know if you know, but there's a big quote going around now where, excuse my English, Shaquille O'Neal said about the final game, I asked the guy to shoot 50, that motherfucker shot 60. And I think that's the best way to explain Kobe Bryant. I mean, did you get a chance to watch it at all? Or
I saw bits of it, yes.
Well, a lot of people are critical of the actual percentage because he took a lot of shots that missed. I mean, he still hit 60.
But still, yeah.
They were losing, and they ended up winning because of Kobe Bryant. And I think that's the best final game he could have asked for.
Yeah, that's the best way you can go out.
Yeah, so it was a huge bang. And if anything, you know, Golden State set another record that same day where they beat the former Bulls record of having only 10 losses. They only had 9 losses this season. And if anything, that huge monumental record might have just been trumped by Kobe's last game, because a lot of people were, at that point, were guessing Golden State was going to beat the Grizzlies. But I don't think anybody was expecting Kobe to not just get 50, but to get 60. And, you know, like after a couple of seasons where his body's just been deteriorating and he had to give up the biggest passion he's ever had. So it was great. I think it was a great way to end his legacy.
Have you ever seen him? Did you ever get to see him play live?
No, unfortunately. I've seen a lot of greats live. Like I saw Allen Iverson. I've seen LeBron James. I've never went to a Kobe game, and I used to go to like a lot of Raptors games when I was younger. And it's unfortunate because I would have loved to have seen him play. I actually wanted to, but you know, tickets were too expensive.
Yeah,
not just because it's Kobe's last game in Toronto, but because Toronto is so damn good now that, you know, tickets have skyrocketed. So it's unfortunate. But
we in the past have talked about like great legends like David Bowie and all of that. So Kobe is like in the sports world that equivalent.
Yeah, I can't remember who said it. It might have actually been Flea who said it. I don't remember, but it might have been Flea when he was defending, you know, what his national anthem was, but I don't actually know what it was because it was awful. Look it up for yourself if you want. But while he was defending himself, he basically said Kobe Bryant's like John Coltrane or Jimi Hendrix of basketball.
Yeah.
He changed stuff and he put LA back on the map again with that current phase of the Lakers, because he had like 5 championships to himself, 3 with Shaq, 3 with Paul Gasol. But you know, like it was Kobe as well. So yeah, he did a lot of good and he changed the game a lot. I mean, there's a big reason why so many people are upset that he's leaving, because you know he started off straight out of high school, and you know he was like the 24th seed, I think, in the draft. Like nobody really cared. He was on Charlotte, but he always wanted to play for the purple and gold. So he found his way over to Lakers and ended up being one of the greatest of all time. You know, he wasn't sought out to be like this huge player from the get-go, not like LeBron James was, right? This guy started off and he killed his way up to the top, being one of the best of all time.
Yeah, like no hype at the beginning.
Well, little hype, because, you know, he was still straight out of high school, but once he was on the Lakers and he was dominating, people said, oh my God, where did this guy come from? We didn't expect that. And, you know, he set a bar for people who weren't such high draft picks. You know, he basically said, you don't have to be the highest. You become the highest. And it was great. You know, he's one of the best of all time, easily.
Absolutely.
Capsule. Music. Film. Pop culture.
Speaking of great things, maybe great things, we don't know for sure, but Pitchfork, they had a leak, I guess, kind of, maybe, about Radiohead possibly releasing a new album, supposedly in June, which would kind of make sense, because they're playing festivals. But it turns out, well, they're so, I'm trying to do like the quotes in the air thing, but you can't see it. Their manager, in quotes, Brian Message, said the new Radiohead album out in June will be like nothing you've ever heard. But then yesterday, then it turned out that their management company, Courtyard, said he's not their manager, no operational role whatsoever. So you should take it with no authority.
I'm hoping selfishly that is just a very...
It's a cover.
Yeah, it's a very lame cover because, Radiohead, the last few releases since In Rainbows have been, like, announced very shortly before they've actually been released. Like, King of Limbs was like, it's coming out later this week. And then 2 days later, now it's out, So I'm hoping that's why they're trying to cover it up because, something accidentally got spilled. Because think about it. They released their James Bond theme late last year. They're on all sorts of festivals. They've kind of teased at the fact that they've been working on stuff for ages and that they've wrapped up their album for a while now. Johnny Greenwood's been talking about it.
So for sure they've been in the studio.
Absolutely. Yeah. They've been in the studio since last year, for sure. Or even like the year before, they've been in the studio for a while. But in terms of actually releasing something, I'm not quite sure. I'm just selfishly hoping so because they've kind of teased at the fact that it will come out this year to begin with. I'm just hoping that it actually is June.
And if it is true and it is nothing like you've ever heard, is that a good thing? Because Radiohead.
Absolutely, because when a lot of bands have said that,
it's going to be a Justin Bieber feature.
Well, no, but when a lot of bands have said that, it's like, we've really got above and beyond, and you listen to it, it's like, this is still you, like, let's not forget that, and how can any of us forget that, OK Computer was followed by Kid A. So when they say they've done different things, I kind of believe them because they've done that before, you know? So
if anyone's going to change it up, it's going to be them.
I hope so, because I'm not on the bandwagon that King of Limbs was awful, but I did grow out of it kind of quickly. Yeah. So I'm hoping for something that...
Here's a question for you. Do you think it's even possible to invent a new genre of music today? Without it being gimmicky?
I believe so to an extent. I just don't think it's incredibly easy, and I don't think you could create a genre that's so radically different that you can't compare it to anything else. And I would even argue that hip-hop, in a way, is relative to like other genres as well, like especially with that whole Rock and Roll Hall of Fame thing, that with NWA kind of justifying themselves being in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Absolutely, because I think, you could compare some hip hop bands like Public Enemy to punk in ways with, like the vicious nature and the punches of how they go. And you could compare something like Kendrick to being a more jazzy kind of hip hop, or, Tribe as well. And that's the thing, even though hip hop was so radically different, I still think you could compare it to other genres as you can with any other genre. So the thing is, if somebody were to come up with a radically different genre, because music is music and you can only get so inventive since contemporary music started, it'll forever be linked to other genres, I'm sure. But I don't doubt that there is a possible invention, maybe in our lifetime, actually, and I hope so, of a new genre.
That's very interesting. It's a very interesting point indeed. I hope it's great. I want to hear it. I want to see them again live. So hopefully,
I would love to see them live, period, because I haven't had a chance yet.
What about Arcade Fire? Have you seen them?
Nope, but I will with Way Home.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yes, very true. Yeah. So
I have seen Win Butler as DJ Windows 98. So there you go.
Was it 98 or 95? One of them. I don't
know. Stay tuned to find out. Maybe it's 95. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm not as retro as he is.
Windows Vista. No, that won't work. Whatever. Anyways, we'll move on from that joke. So our music editor, Dakota Arsenault, got a chance to interview Porches, and opening for them was Alex G. Now, Alex G is a really cool guy from Philadelphia who started his career in his bedroom. He's a great singer-songwriter. But he didn't want his interview on camera. That's cool. That's his right to do. And I think bands like Chairlift also requested that. But that's why we have a podcast. Ta-da! See, I thought it out. Anyway, so take a listen to Dakota's exclusive interview with Alex G right now.
Hi, this is Dakota Arsenault, and I am joined today with Alex G. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Did you just make it into the city?
Yeah, we got a little bit lost. So.
Oh, really? Where were you last night?
We were in Detroit.
Detroit.
Yeah.
It's not that far. Just over the border, across
Right.
Windsor.
Yeah, I know. So I guess we missed our exit, so we were just sort of like circling around the city for too long.
All right. Well, you finally made the jump from being an independent artist to releasing your latest record, Beach Music, on Domino Records. Has this changed or affected the way you view or create your music at all?
No. I still do it the same way I always did. But I guess the difference is how widely the album's being distributed, because Domino's got their press and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool. But I make an effort to keep it the same way I always did it.
Yeah. And Domino's completely bought into that too?
So far, yeah, so far they've been really friendly and, open to whatever I'm trying to do.
Oh, that's awesome. The intro track on Beach Music is actually quite harsh compared to the rest of the album in a way that kind of really gets your attention. It forces you to really listen, because right after that you have Bug, which is a much more quieter song. What was the reasoning behind having such a harsh introduction to the album?
I guess I never really I don't really think about this stuff a lot. I sort of do it intuitively, but I guess what I was thinking was I wanted it to kind of set the stage for the album and let the listener know that it's a bunch of different voices coming at you rather than just one steady songwriter. It's not just Alex's perspective coming at you constantly throughout the whole album. It's you hear this track and you're like, what's this? And then the next track is pretty drastically different, and the next track is kind of similar, but I guess that just sets the stage. That's why that first track is there.
It really does get your attention, which is pretty cool. Yeah. You kind of got your start by self-releasing your music while you were at university. Was the plan to always pursue a full-time career in music after school, or was it sort of just starting out as a passion project?
It was just something I've done since I was a young teenager. That was just what me and my friends did for fun. We'd play shows and and I never expected to have a career in music. It was just something that I identified with a lot. I was going to school for English. I thought maybe I'd be a teacher or something, but then I got kind of out of nowhere, I got the record deal when I was, I guess I was 19 or 20 or something, and so I figured I'd stop going to school.
Was that a hard decision to make?
No, because I love music a lot. It's my whole, it's all I thought about even when I was in school. But and I never really liked school, I guess, because of that. So I was happy to leave school. I just never, I just didn't expect it to happen. I figured I'd just always have this I figured life would be this other thing, and then I'd have my music. That would be what I'd hold on to. Does that make sense?
No, that makes total sense. It just sort of grew into something, and that's what you want to do, so you might as well pursue it. Which
right?
Is
yeah, exactly.
Living the dream, really. Sometimes it's a little bit hard to glean information about the inspiration behind some of your songs, because you don't always tell direct stories in a traditional singer-songwriter style. Since these are still your own personal stories, does it change the fact that now you're playing bigger venues and to larger crowds, you telling these stories to more people?
You mean in the live setting, or when I'm writing now?
Yeah, well, I guess in the live setting is what the question originally, but if the writing at all has changed.
When I'm playing live, I sort of detach myself from, in a way I detach myself. It almost feels like I'm performing a cover set or something, when we're playing live, because the live show is a lot different than the recordings. Mm-hmm. So it's almost not, I don't want to say going through the motions, because I don't want to sell our live shows short or anything, but I think when I'm alone writing, I can be really passionate about what I'm writing, you know, and put all that passion into the recording. And then when we play live, it's just sort of like,
you know the chords you're playing, you know the words, it just comes out.
Exactly, yeah, and it just comes out. And sometimes I can tap into it, and sometimes I don't. But it doesn't bother me that there's a lot of people there or anything. It just, I just do my thing. I don't even really look at the crowd. I try and like, I'm a little like nervous, you know, so I just don't look at the crowd really. I just do my own thing.
Makes sense. Yeah. You're right now on tour with the Porches, and you can kind of hear them doing their sound check right now. And while stylistically you two are very different in your sound, you both sort of approach music in a similar way that's very personal and intimate. Do you find any other similarities between the two of you?
There's a lot, I guess. I mean, we get along really well, and I guess we have similar senses of humor or something. I like their music a lot. I can't think of specific things that we have in common, but he gave me this shirt, Aaron, who's singing right now, so
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I guess I don't think we have similar sense of style, but I like his sense of style. You know?
Yeah.
I have a bad sense of style.
Now, you have very unique music videos. I think there's like 4 already for Beach Music. Do you come up with the treatments for them, and like what's your role in the creation?
I came up with the treatment for Mud, the one that just came out, but the other 3 I didn't really have anything to do with, and which is in the future I want to have more to do with them, you know, because there's some that I really like, but there's some that came out that I'm like not that excited about. So in the future I want to be really hands-on and not let that like slip by me the way it did. But I made one of the music videos for the last album. There's a song called Harvey on the last album. I made a music video for that, but that's about it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. This summer you're playing a ton of festivals with 5 already announced. Is this something that you're excited for? Are you going to change anything about your performance to sort of translate it to bigger crowds and stages?
No, I haven't thought about it really.
Am I freaking you out a little bit?
No.
Okay.
No. I mean, hopefully we don't bore people or something. And I just try and be like, I think I just want to be honest with the performance. You know, I don't want it to be like a show, like, whoa, like I'm just playing the songs, you know, and I don't know what else people want from me really. Like, I'm excited actually to record some more, and yeah. And hopefully the festivals will be cool. I'm sure they'll be cool. They're like catered and stuff. We played one on this tour and it was like catered like with all this food. It was awesome. Yeah.
Now that's living the dream, I guess.
Yeah, that's my favorite part of being on tour is just like different food in the different cities and stuff. It's cool.
Well, that's good. I guess you sort of talked about it where you're talking about making new music. Have you started writing a follow-up yet, or what's going on with that?
I'm writing a lot. I always write a lot, and I don't have any like definite date for when a follow-up would come out, but I got a good chunk of stuff, and I know my direction, you know, but I couldn't give any definite info on it. Like, just a lot of, I guess it's a little like folkier or something, but I don't want to, like, that's got such a lame connotation. Like, I'm not like Mumford and Sons or something, but I guess similar instrumentation, you know, like it's got a lot of like banjos and fiddle and stuff.
There's so much you could do with that, though.
Exactly. Yeah, I want to like take that in a weirder direction, you know, but I really like those instruments. So.
I think that sounds pretty cool.
Hopefully.
Well, thank you so much for talking with us today, Alex.
Yeah, thanks for talking to me.
Make sure you check out Beach Music. It is out now and is a great record.
Streaming to you from Live in Limbo. You're listening to Capsule.
Cool. Andreas?
That was super cool, yeah.
That was really great. Do you know of Alex G's music? Are you familiar with him?
Only through Dakota.
Yeah. I like it.
I have to say, hopefully I've affected his music taste, but he's partially affected mine as well. It's good when two people are obsessive with not just film, as you could hear on our Contra Zoom podcast, but with music as well. So you're constantly learning about new acts. So
it's great.
Yes, through Dakota, yes.
I was introduced to Alex G through Dakota as well. Bug, that's a great track. And we want you to download his recent album, Beach Music, on iTunes. It's good stuff.
Yep, it's almost the summer, so beach music.
It's great. Perfect timing. And so the last topic of today, we will be talking about not great, but like this big whole kind of the vinyl movement. It's been increasing over the years, as we've talked about in the last, throughout Capsule. But this week, a survey found that half of UK vinyl buyers don't actually listen to their LPs. What is going on, Andreas?
I personally think it's kind of understandable, and I'll get into why. And this is also partially why I love having a vinyl collection to begin with. I think vinyl is having a comeback, not just because of, people loving music, but for a different reason as well. I think vinyl collections are special for this way. When you get CDs, you have your CDs, you put them on your shelf or wherever, you put them in your car, and you listen to them, you burn them on your computer, whatever. I have found with vinyl that it's not just about collecting the music, but it's just about collecting in general. Like, my vinyl collection has a lot of signed actual sleeves, a lot of Oddball here and there, things that I would just never get on CD, but you know what? It's a vinyl collection, so I picked them up from garage sales, from exclusive online deals. So a lot of the time you're picking up things that are just kind of special and not necessarily things that you're dying to listen to. And you know what? Maybe you just never get around to listening to them. Like, for example...
So you're saying it's for the art of it, just to have something tangible?
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, of course, a big chunk of vinyl collecting is listening to the actual records and hearing how much better they sound. But, when I'm at a garage sale and I have, Bing Crosby's greatest hits, I'm not necessarily going to listen to it, but it's $3, and it's you know what? This came from that time period. This is pretty much a steal. Sure. So now I have it, and I have some oddball things that I would just never have. Also, as I've learned through another huge contributor to our site, Randall, vinyl's great because you're just constantly kind of giving each other or, bringing insight to other people about what's going on.
Okay, but Randall actually listens to it. Not exactly. Regularly. But they're saying 50% do not. So they're fake hipsters. That's what they are.
Like Randall will also give vinyl away or sell it away. So it's hey, I've got this piece. I know you like this band. Do you want to check it out? Yes. And, that's the thing. Vinyl's about trading, collecting, and that's the thing.
So they're like Pokemon cards.
Kind of.
People don't actually play the full deck game, but they just like to have them.
Or massive pogs that won't actually flip if you use them, but they'll just...
Well, then, if that's the case, then it's actually cheap art. Instead of buying a painting for $300, you can just spend $20 on a nice vinyl and hang it on the wall, which is cool too.
Yeah, it's a collector's piece, but I have to ask, actually, is this 50% who don't listen to any of their collection, or just 50% who have stuff that they haven't listened to yet?
Maybe they will I have a lot of friends, I won't name them, or influencers on Instagram, and then they'll post a picture and they'll be oh, listening to this record right now, but maybe that's the only time they ever listen to it, just to get likes on Instagram to look hip.
I wouldn't be surprised. And let's not forget that that vinyl's getting to such a point that, Urban Outfitters, for instance, is selling a lot of vinyl now. So I'm sure that a good chunk of people finally getting into vinyl just haven't come around to listening to their stuff yet. They've just started.
Because it's just easier to hit play on your phone.
That too, but let's not forget that vinyl is for a completely different audience. People who want music just to listen to stuff and
shuffle. But when do you have time to do that?
What, to listen to vinyl?
Yeah.
I don't know, when you read, when you just want to do nothing but listen to music, lie on your bed, listen to music.
I remember when I saw Randall, when we had to like play a vinyl, he had to like brush it off and then do all this stuff to set it up, and I could have just finished the album already on my phone.
But it's a different thing though. It's like, if you want to listen to, like, let's say Sgt. Pepper's by the Beatles, back in the way that it would have sounded, and it's an album that's created to be an album to heard from start to finish. It's a cohesive piece. You take that time to brush it off, to put it on, to hear the grooves going, and it's suddenly, after the crackle, the music starts and you hear the depth of everything. It's an experience. It's like, instead of just having the music or whatever, you're listening to the whole thing. It's like watching the entire movie instead of listening to like the clips on, or watching the clips on YouTube or something.
And you have to buy a good turntable, good speakers, and all that other add-on stuff.
Well, if you're a super aficionado, like if you're just getting into it, I'm sure you could just get by with like a small portable one that's cheap, Like, if you're super into it, then yeah, you go the extra distance.
Or there could be people that just buy it to support the artist, play it once, and then they just stream it later on their phone. That's cool too. I'm not making fun of them. I'm just saying it's funny, kind of.
Well, it's funny you should say that, because to go back to the whole art piece thing,
it is art. It's great to have it. It's big.
It is. But like, a lot of artists go out of their way to actually turn their albums into something else. Like Beach House is very good at this. Like, their Teen Dream vinyl is incredible. First off, it's double disc, so they stretch out the songs, so they have a lot more texture to them and a lot more depth to the actual music. They come with like, it comes with like a huge amount of artwork on the inside. It actually comes with a CD that's like a visual disc version of the album, where each song's got like a music video. They go above and beyond, so it's terrific. And they're not the only band. A lot of bands do stuff like this. They have the gatefold, where you open the album up and you have this huge thing that you would never get with any other release of the album. You have, the actual colored LPs. You have, posters, signed lithographs, all sorts of stuff that you get exclusively with this. Actually, Godspeed You Black Emperor is probably one of the best bands to do this, and I don't really know how I got away with this. Do you know what they did for F sharp, A sharp, Infinity?
Nope.
On their first pressings of the album, they had all sorts of like pictures and stuff shoved into the record, but they also lined up, I think it was like a specific amount of pennies, like maybe a couple hundred or something, on a train track, and they got them flattened, and they put one in each version of the early pressings. I don't know how, but my very first vinyl I ever bought, well, I bought three. I bought Velvet Underground and Nico. I bought Station to Station by Bowie, and I bought F sharp, A sharp, Infinity. I somehow got like the third pressing ever, I believe.
Wow.
If the number on the bottom is correct, of this. And, I'm one of those people that got one of those rare pennies. So that's what I'm saying. They wouldn't do that with CDs. They would only do that with records.
And you certainly can't do that with digital tracks.
Yeah, plus, it's like, I have signed CDs, but signed records are just so much more fulfilling, because you have like the big album cover there. You have, it's like with your shelf with all these other collectible things. With CDs, it's a little bit different. With records, it feels like an actual collectible thing. And I have Broken Social Scene signed one of my records of theirs. I've always signed their self-titled record. I have all sorts of, again, records that sound like a broken record that are signed, and it's great. It's just a great feeling. So I don't get why they're not listening to the records at all, but I get why they're collecting them, and maybe like, for the art of collecting.
Mm-hmm. Oh, speaking of like cool vinyl stuff, it's kind of old, but still within the last 2 weeks. Did you see Phil Collins, and he reshot all of his original album covers for the 2016 reissues?
I did, actually.
That is crazy. That is beautiful. See, in cases like that, the whole vinyl thing makes sense. It's like beautiful. That's like amazing.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, most artists nowadays, I'd say, would go above and beyond with their record releases. Even somebody like Lana Del Rey, who's a mainstream pop act, has like her Urban Outfitters releases where, that comes with like all sorts of different features, like, different cover art, posters and stuff on the inside, extra tracks, just more that you wouldn't get on any other form of that release. So yeah, a lot of people are going out of their way to to do special stuff for this new revival of albums, and it's great.
Amazing. Great. So yeah, busy week as always. Where can all of our listeners find you, Andreas?
You can find me on Twitter at Andreas Babs.
You can find myself on Twitter at Sean Chin. You can follow the show at Live in Limbo. Use the hashtag Capsule Podcast to join in on the conversation. Please subscribe to our show in iTunes, give us 5 stars, and leave us some nice words in the review section. And as always, you can find the show notes at liveinlimbo.com/capsule. Take care.
Have a good one.